I'm starting to hate everyone in the 90s that played basketball, that whole group, because they just think they shit don't stink.
Gilbert Arenas is tripping. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, this is Josie Sports Nation. Hit that like button, that subscribe, and also hit that notification bell. I would gladly appreciate that, man. I want to talk about Gilbert Arenas. Now, he's been trending in the news. Epic interview with him and Kwame Brown. Definitely check that video out where Kwame basically called him out, crushed him on the interview. Shout out to Kwame Brown. But anyway, I don't know if I'm starting not to like Gilbert Arenas. I don't know. I mean, I used to like him. I think he's a phenomenal basketball player. Career was cut short due to injury, but he was a bad man on that offensive standpoint. And I don't like when people talk about the 90s basketball in the 80s. I don't like that. I don't like when eras is talking about each other. I don't. But I'm going to play this clip of Gilbert Arenas disrespecting the 90s basketball era, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents after this. Check this out.
I'm starting to hate everyone in the 90s that played basketball, that whole group, because they just think they shit don't stink.
Right.
Like, you got, Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, both 6'7", both weigh 210. Talking about they're going to stop somebody in today's game.
Nah.
6'7", 210. Like, you are a little guard in today's game. You guys are little guys. Like,
but that's every 10 years the game changes.
Yeah, that's what I said. They have no idea about evolution. It's like they don't take evolution.
Versatile athlete and a savvy competitor, Dennis Rodman dedicated himself to frustrating and disrupting the opposition.
Dennis took the responsibility of guarding the other team's top scorer all the time, regardless of who he was.
Here's Jordan at 1-on-1 now. Rodman won't give an inch.
He is truly the only person I've ever known that could guard all 5 positions.
Evolution.
I always have these debates with my friends. I was like, bro, can you imagine dropping LeBron in the 75? Like, just drop LeBron now that you know in 75. I was like, bro.
That's just, it's like they forget evolution. So they're like, well, this game's soft. They flop too much.
I think it's more skill.
You have to understand rules, right? So if a player can get you in foul trouble because you're always out of place, that's a skill. And I said, it's not a flop, it's a skill. If I know I'm going to drive here and I know your speed is going to try to beat me there and I stop, you hit me and I shoot, that is my skill. That's what I'm skilled at. And I don't think anybody really appreciates the skill. They call it, oh, he's flopping too much. Oh, this is boring. Like, no, that's...
But you know what people, their reaction is? They don't know how you do that because they can't think like you think.
They didn't have to.
Because they wasn't little.
They didn't have to. I mean, first, in the 90s, they were averaging like 80, 90 points a game. Mm-hmm. Like, we're doing 135s and 140s now, and that's because of the skill level. So they didn't have to figure out how to get to the free throw line. It was like whenever we score. I think it was more of a stops game in the 90s anyway.
It was a big man game. You ever talk to somebody that's like the 90s was like the best thing, like Michael Jackson, Prince, like the music was better, like everything wasn't better in the 90s, like we played defense. No, y'all didn't. You just hacked because y'all couldn't stop.
The shit out of him, yeah.
That's all you did. You hacked because you couldn't stop. You couldn't stop Jordan, so you just clotheslined the. That's all you did. That ain't defense, bro. That ain't defense. Like you can get that shit at the beach. You can get that shit at the beach. The mailman does that. He can't stop none of these out there, so he just tripping and clipping all day talking about, this 90s basketball. That's all the about is doing, man. It's stupid. Like,
Now, Gilbert Arenas, you are a fool to say what you're saying. You're just hating because you're trying to defend your era like everybody else do. And I want Joe Biden to talk to you. Talk to him, Joe.
We choose truth over facts.
You're talking crazy. Now, when it comes to the top defenders back in the day, and you said Dennis Rodman, well, Dennis Rodman can watch everybody with his 210 frame. He was one of the strongest players back then, and he can play now. He was running like a deer. When he was in college, he was scoring 26 points a game. He decided to use all that energy on defense, something that you don't like to play, and you even said it. And if you remember back in 1998 when Shaquille O'Neal was at his height of his career, he got shut down by you-know-who, Dennis Rodman. Penny Hardaway, dope guy, 6'7", can play in any era. Scottie Pippen, who arguably one of the best defenders in the 90s and the 80s, was very long, 6'7" frame, and can play in any era. You understand? And Kobe Bryant is a 90s kid. What did Kobe Bryant do against Miami Heat when they had the big three? He was destroying them. LeBron couldn't watch him, and LeBron even said that Kobe Bryant was the best player. Check this out.
Who's the best player in the NBA?
Kobe Bryant.
Better than you?
I would have to say right now. He's a really, really good player. Individually, he has some of the best skills that the NBA has ever seen in history. And he's shown year after year after year why he continues to be one of the best players in our league. I'm getting better, though.
So you're fooling yourself, Arenas. You're a Valley kid, and you just hating on what they're saying. I understand the game has evolved, and there's some things that you were right on. They didn't play defense all the time back in the day. My favorite player, Charles Barkley, didn't never play defense, but he was an amazing player on offense. Amazing player. You cannot discredit what the Bulls did. You can't discredit those players back then, because there are players right now that played 3 generations. They played Michael Jordan, they played Kobe Bryant, and they played LeBron James, arguably the best top 5 players ever. Some people don't put Kobe Bryant there, but he's top 10, and he's the closest thing to Michael Jordan. And Kobe was giving them the business, but everybody says Michael Jordan is the best. I have a video on it for the players that played against all 3. LeBron is really, really, really great. He is. But just because another group saying you flop too much and you do that. This time of basketball is boring. Yes, they can dribble better. And yes, they would have issues playing in this game because of you can't touch anybody. I understand that. I agree with you on that. I believe Gary Payton couldn't watch anybody if he can't touch anybody. Gary Payton would struggle in this league because he wasn't a shooter. He couldn't play defense unless he played aggressive. And people were flopping like that, yeah, he would probably be out the game. But Michael Jordan could have played in any era. Scottie Pippen, Grant Hill, Vince Carter, all these players who was in their prime back then could play in any era. Don't disrespect those guys and what they've done. Like we all put respect on your game. You can shoot very well. You was a clutch shooter. I think you had 5 5 buzzer beaters. You had more than the top shooter right now had. You were Steph Curry before Steph Curry was. Obviously, you say he could shoot better than you, and he can play better than you, and you probably wouldn't want to play in this era. But that's because you're getting old, and you can't do the things that you used to do. If you were playing, you wouldn't be saying that. Shaq is the biggest guy in the league since Wilt. He was 330 pounds. Probably half the time he's playing probably like 350 pounds when he was with the Lakers. And that is in the 90s era, in the early 2000s. You had Tim Duncan. You had Dirk Nowitzki. So, yes, the players are better now, but they're not tougher. I think good times make weak people. Tough times make strong people. It was tough back then. Now, Arenas did make another good point. He said they wasn't playing defense. They was beating up Michael Jordan. That wasn't defense. I agree with that. That's prison ball. I understand. But that was the game that they played back then. But my thing is, put respect on the names of people before you. That's disrespectful. And just take it. If an old man going to say something like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or whatever when it comes to basketball, I ain't talking about life. I'm talking about basketball. Let them have it, man. Let them have it, because if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be playing. You wouldn't be excited to play. You'd probably be working at a regular job if you didn't see Michael Jordan play, and a lot of these players in the Bay Area or whatever the case may be play. If you didn't see Tim Hardaway play, you probably wouldn't play when he was playing for Golden State. So let's stop the bull crap, man. We put respect on the people who made it to the NBA, and we got a chance to enjoy the game. Now, I have my critiques about this game because all they do is shoot threes, and it's so boring. Like, you're shooting 50 threes a game and you're missing most of them, and a lot of times you could be having fast break dunks, but you're kicking it out to hit a three. Every player, every team, and every player can't do that. Why would you, as a fan of the game or playing the game, why would you try to do what Golden State's doing? You're not going to be able to outshoot them. Like the Lakers, you're shooting threes in. Anthony Davis is shooting 19% from three before he got injured, and LeBron is shooting. He's like 35th in the league or something in threes, and you're trying to compete with somebody who is a primarily 3-point shooter. And also, let's look at LeBron James. LeBron James can't dribble like these young dudes. He can't. He dribble like a freaking Frankenstein, just like the other ones. So LeBron is considered an old school player. He's been in the league for 20 years, man. And he's holding his own in his league with these young players. So, with that being said, I want to get your opinion on this video. What you think about what Gilbert Arenas said? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I would like to hear everything you got to say. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you on the next video.